The story follows Cassandra Cassie Thomas, a young woman who dropped out of medical school after a devastating event involving her best friend Nina. Cassie now works at a coffee shop and lives at home with her concerned parents who don't understand her lack of direction and her mysterious nighttime activities. Her life is consumed by a secret ritual. Every week Cassie goes to a nightclub or bar, pretends to be completely drunk and incapacitated, and waits for a nice guy to take her home with the intention of taking advantage of her. The opening scene establishes the casual misogyny Cassie faces as two businessmen, Paul and Jim, and their friend Jerry discuss a female colleague and then leer at a seemingly drunk Cassie in a bar. Jerry, urged on by his friends, approaches Cassie under the guise of concern, offering her a ride home after she claims to have lost her phone. He takes her to his apartment, offers her a drink, and tries to come on to her. Cassie, who is stone cold sober and meticulously feigning drunkenness, waits for the moment of escalation. When Jerry attempts to kiss and grope her as she pretends to sleep, she suddenly snaps into lucidity and confronts him. Her sharp, sober demeanor terrifies him and he begs her to leave. She makes her point, warns him to be careful next time, and departs, leaving him shaken. Cassie's routine is revealed to be a calculated form of revenge. She is keeping a literal tally in a notebook of the men she targets, all of whom have the same predatory impulse. She reconnects with an old medical school classmate, Ryan, who is now a pediatric surgeon. He genuinely likes her, apologizes for his past rudeness in the coffee shop, and asks her out. Despite her cynicism, Cassie agrees to a date. During a lunch date, they find themselves outside his apartment, and when he suggests going up for a drink, Cassie, momentarily forgetting her commitment to her mission, says yes. She quickly corrects herself, however, and decides to go home, confusing Ryan. She is wrestling with the possibility of a normal relationship, but the memory of Nina prevents her from fully moving on. The full tragedy of Nina is slowly unveiled. Nina was brutally sexually assaulted by a group of male medical students, including Alexander Monroe, and the trauma led to her dropping out and eventually taking her own life. Cassie dropped out to care for her friend. The men responsible faced no consequences. Cassie begins to elevate her revenge mission by going after those connected to Nina's abusers. She confronts Madison McPhee, a former med school friend who dismissed Nina's claims as crying wolf due to Nina's past reputation. Cassie takes Madison out for drinks and slips a powerful drug into her champagne, causing Madison to become incoherent and seemingly incapacitated, mirroring how Nina was when she was assaulted. She then delivers the unconscious Madison to a hotel room where a prepaid stranger is waiting, intending to let Madison feel the terror of waking up after a potential assault. The next morning, Madison calls Cassie, panicked and fearing she was raped, realizing the trauma Nina must have faced. Next, Cassie targets Al Monroe, the main perpetrator, who is now a successful anesthesiologist and about to get married. She poses as a makeup artist and gets a ride from his young fiancee's friend Amber to a music video shoot at Al's bachelor party. She locks Amber in the car so she can't interfere. Finally, Cassie goes to confront Dean Walker, the medical school administrator, who dismissed Nina's assault accusations as a he said she said situation. Cassie reveals that she knows he failed to help Nina. As a final act of justice before carrying out her main plan, she threatens the dean by subtly suggesting she has a secret that could ruin his career. Cassie goes to Al Monroe's bachelor party dressed as a nurse, a clear reference to their medical past. She manages to separate him from his friends, incapacitates him with a drug, and handcuffs him to a bed. As he wakes up, she reveals her identity and her true plan. She forces him to confront his crime against Nina. She tries to scare him using tools and equipment that suggest she is about to maim him, but her goal isn't physical harm. Instead, she plans to carve Nina's name into him. Al, terrified, breaks free and attacks her. In the struggle, he kills her. Al and his friend Joe dispose of Cassie's body and destroy all evidence. The police are given a false narrative, concluding that Cassie's death was accidental, caused by a fire she started. However, before she went to the party, Cassie mailed a package to her lawyer containing her notebook of targets and a confession, a full explanation of her activities. In her package, she also included Al's address, a voice recording of his confession, and his fiancée's engagement ring, which she took from Al's room. Cassie's lawyer alerts the authorities, and as Al is getting married, the police arrive to arrest him, ensuring that Cassie's final act achieves justice for Nina. The movie focuses on Cassandra Cassie Thomas, a former medical student who is consumed by a relentless secret mission of revenge. Having dropped out of medical school and working in a coffee shop, Cassie spends her nights feigning severe intoxication at bars and clubs, waiting for nice guys to approach her and attempt to take advantage of her. When they do, she instantly reveals her sobriety, terrifying them and forcing them to confront their predatory behavior. Her parents are deeply concerned, sensing her stalled life and emotional distance, while her boss Gail notices Cassie's strange, erratic schedule. Cassie's behavior is rooted in the trauma experienced by her best friend Nina Fisher, a fellow medical student who was brutally sexually assaulted by a group of male classmates, including Alexander Al Monroe. The assault was dismissed by the school, including the Dean Walker, and Nina's pain was compounded by the cynical dismissal of her female friends who viewed her claims as drama or crying wolf. Unable to cope, Nina eventually took her own life. Cassie's mission is a desperate attempt to seek justice for Nina and expose the systemic indifference that enabled her abusers to escape consequence. Cassie keeps a meticulous notebook where she tracks the encounters. She begins dating Ryan Cooper, a charming pediatric surgeon and former med school classmate. Ryan seems like a genuine, kind person, and Cassie allows herself a moment of hope, engaging in a seemingly normal relationship. However, when she attempts to make a physical connection, she is unable to go through with it, constantly pushing Ryan away. As her relationship with Ryan progresses, Cassie escalates her revenge. She confronts Madison McPhee, a former friend who dismissed Nina. Cassie drugs Madison to make her experience the terrifying vulnerability Nina felt before revealing her act as a cruel but non-assaultive lesson. The next day, Madison calls Cassie panicked and terrified, finally realizing the gravity of Nina's experience. Madison later meets with Cassie again and hands over her old phone, which contains the disturbing video footage of Al Monroe and his friends sexually assaulting Nina while she was incapacitated. The footage reveals that Ryan was also present and actively participating in the scene, laughing and joking with the others. The discovery shatters Cassie's fragile trust. She confronts Ryan in his hospital workplace, showing him the video. Ryan, exposed, is terrified of losing his successful career. Cassie gives him an ultimatum: she will expose the video to everyone in his contact list, or he must reveal the location of Al Monroe's bachelor party. Ryan chooses to save himself, giving Cassie the location and pleading for forgiveness. Cassie, disgusted, makes it clear she will not forgive him and warns him not to alert Al. Before heading to the party, Cassie confronts Dean Walker, who initially dismissed Nina's case. Cassie uses a psychological tactic, making the dean believe that she put his daughter in the same situation, causing him a moment of sheer panic before she reveals she did not, but only to show him how real the danger was. Cassie then goes to Al Monroe's bachelor party dressed as a nurse. She manages to separate Al from his friends by tricking him and the others. She slips drugs into the drinks of Al's friends, incapacitating them, and then handcuffs a sober Al to the bed. She reveals her identity, her connection to Nina, and her knowledge of his crime. Al initially denies the assault, claiming Nina was into it, but Cassie forces him to face the video evidence and the reality of what he did. As Al panics, he breaks free of the handcuffs and lunges at Cassie. In the ensuing struggle, Al fatally smothers and kills Cassie. Al and his friend Joe panic and dispose of Cassie's body, making the scene look like a drunken accident and fire. They return to Al's wedding, convinced they've successfully covered up the murder. However, the film reveals Cassie's meticulous planning. She had anticipated the possibility of her own death and mailed a final package to her trusted lawyer. This package contained her notebook of victims, Nina's assault video, and a letter confessing her scheme. Crucially, before going to the party, Cassie had swapped out Al's fiancée's expensive engagement ring for a cheap imitation. The final piece of evidence: the lawyer forwards the package, including the real ring, to the police. At Al and Anastasia's wedding reception, as they pose for photos, the police arrive. Al is arrested for the murder of Cassandra Thomas. Cassie's final ultimate act of revenge is complete, ensuring Al Monroe faces justice not for the sexual assault of Nina, but for her own calculated sacrifice. Furious and heartbroken, Cassie uses the video to corner Ryan at his hospital, forcing him to give up the location of Al Monroe's bachelor party. She then confronts Dean Walker, terrifying him by implying his daughter is in danger, a direct parallel to the fear he failed to acknowledge in Nina. Having tied up all loose ends, Cassie embarks on her final act, infiltrating Al's bachelor party dressed as a nurse. She systematically drugs Al's friends, then handcuffs a sober Al to the bed. Revealing her identity and Nina's name, she forces Al to acknowledge his crime. When Al frantically breaks free from the cuffs, a struggle ensues, culminating in Al violently smothering and killing Cassie. Al and his friend Joe attempt a clumsy, horrifying cover-up, disposing of Cassie's body to make it appear as an accidental death by fire. They believe they have escaped consequence and proceed with Al's wedding. However, Cassie, anticipating her own death, had prepared a final fail-safe. She had mailed a pre-packaged box to her lawyer containing her confession, the video evidence, Al's home address, and a key piece of leverage, Al's fiancée's real engagement ring, which she had swapped for a cheap substitute. The lawyer sends the package to the authorities. In the film's climactic moment, the police arrive at Al and Anastasia's wedding reception and arrest Al Monroe for Cassie's murder. Cassie's plan, fueled by 7 years of grief and unwavering commitment, achieves the justice for Nina that the system had denied, sacrificing her own life to ensure her abuser would finally pay a price. If you enjoy watching this video, then subscribe to Angel Recaps for the latest movies explanation.